Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. He'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth.
Radio. Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. We've made it to the end of a week. Let's see what we have to deal with today, the 7th of March. All right, we have one single sign here. That would be Gemini. That is our moon sign for today. So the subconscious mind is in Gemini. Gemini is communication. Gemini is air. Gemini is all about the words and the actions we take, the things that we say. Mercury is the sign. Mercury is the planet that rules over our intellect, our mind. That's why communication is involved. So we have a square that is taking place. Well, we had one square that we had to be aware of that took place earlier, just about an hour ago. A little less than an hour, and that was dealing with our communication and Neptune, which is about unexpected things, unexpected changes. So that's what's going on right now, something unexpected into things we might say, things we might do, the way in which we communicate. So be prepared for some sort of surprises that may come as a result of this aspect here. All right, let's move from there. Our sun sign, as you know, is in Pisces, which is a water sign. So we're dealing with water as the conscious mind, unconscious mind, air, emotions, and words and actions. Our numerology for today is the number 8. Here's how we arrived at that. 3 plus 7 plus 7 is 17. 1 plus 7 is 8. Okay? 8 would be this number right here. This is strength. 8 is the card or the number on the tarot card of strength. It has to do with righteousness, right useness of our energy. 8 is a number that is a number of infinity. They're authoritative, business-minded leaders. They value control, tend to be powerful. You see in this picture we have a lion which is being tamed by the woman. The lion, the red, is the action. The conscious mind. The woman is the subconscious mind. So the subconscious and the conscious mind are here interacting together, and through that we have the right useness of energy, because the subconscious mind has tamed the wild conscious nature, the wild beast-like nature, so that they are communicating properly, therefore right useness. Strength, because the idea is that this is allowing the love to flow through the heart. And when all the energy, the chakras, and that kundalini energy running through the body flows through the heart chakra, that's the intended right use of everything. Send it all through love first. So here we see some other things about 8. They end up in management positions: efficient, capable, street smart, good judges of character, materially detached, successful, realistic. But they can be cruel, insensitive, violent, bullish, or greedy, and at their worst, intolerant, religious zealots. And again, Leo and strength are the two cards associated with that, two signs. Now today, we're looking at this guy here today, 6th through the 10th. Okay, so today, the 7th, this is what we're going to be seeing as we look out. Look below the moon this evening for orange Aldebaran. An orange, a giant star 65 light years from Earth. Far off to the left is Betelgeuse in the top of Orion. Less far to the right are the Pleiades. Okay, so that's what we're going to be looking at there tonight. Aldebaran, Pleiades. So as you're looking into the sky, you want to look south, high into the sky, and this is what you're going to see. Okay? Moving along, our current moon phase is 41% full, making its way up, waxing to a full moon. Our Mayan Oracle, we're at an 11-tone day, which is the tone of liberation, spectral tone of liberation. We have a star, guided by the star, which is beauty and elegance, guided by beauty and elegance. Our ability to shine bright. The monkey play or magic is our like-minded energy. The reflection is our challenge for today, which also is still our theme as well. And the skywalker, our ability to explore, is our hidden power. Altogether, the phrase, I dissolve, in order to beautify, releasing art. I seal the store of elegance with the spectral tone of liberation. I am guided by my own power doubled. As we can see that we are here right in the middle. We will continue to be this weekend and into next week as well. So, interesting times being in that middle period. I don't know what your experiences are, but that's what's going on in the world today. So, if you have any interesting things that match up with that, you understand why. And over at Space Weather, solar wind is currently at 441.1 kilometers per second. Planetary K-index is between a 1 and a 3 at the moment. Our coronal holes, this one looks like it's gotten even larger, are definitely facing our direction, telling us that streams of solar wind flowing from these widely spaced coronal holes could sandwich Earth on the 9th and the 10th. So it's coming up Monday and Tuesday, or Sunday and Monday. M-class flare possibilities dropped way down to 30% chance, and X-class to 1, so we're not really seeing anything going on there, and geomagnetic storm activity is pretty low as well. So that's the energy you're dealing with as you go out in the world today. We got the number 8 for the numerology. We have a moon sign, which is in Gemini, which is air, and we have a sun sign, which is in Pisces, which is water. So we're dealing with water, we're dealing with air, we're dealing with the number 8, which is the numerology of infinity, the reciprocal attitude, working with the right useness of our energy, and we see where all of this other stuff's going on. So, just allow that to absorb into your old noggin and let yourself make use of that accordingly. That's it. UFO News is up next. Here we go.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. Today's first story takes us to Mexico. 3 UFO sightings in Mexico just 30 days apart. Here we have the pictures, February 6th. This would be the 27th. This would be the 12th. And then there's this. So we have a lot of similarities between all the different pictures. This is an interesting news video about several UFOs seen recently within 30 days of each other in Mexico. Also, with the English subtitles, it allows the viewer to follow along as well. Fernando Correa presents in this important collection of UFOs in Mexico in 2014. Okay, it's 3 minutes 24 seconds long for the video, but it's just going over these images that you just saw. Okay, so they are paying attention out there in Mexico, reporting these things on the news. Here in America, try to keep a little hush-hush. Okay, so the link's available. You can check that one out. Here we go over to Myrtle Beach. Encounter of the third kind gets national attention. One Myrtle Beach business owner who had a close encounter of the third kind is sharing a story with the world. Gary Travis sent a video back to WMBF back in 2011 of several strange orbs off the coast. I'd never seen anything like it, he said during the 2011 interview with WMBF. It's not my experience. Not in my experience, okay? So here's the report, and let's jump over, see if we can get... There we go. No, just running this story now, but this is a little while ago when he had reported this, obviously. Okay, so I'm just flipping through so you can kind of get the idea. It's 3 minutes and 13 seconds long. Okay, jump over to this next one here. This is from Varazdin, Croatia. Video of a bright identified flying object in North Croatia late February. That's a good shot against the sky. Video is 48 seconds. Alright, very interesting indeed. Next, UFO photograph from a plane over Los Angeles, California, March 4th, 2014. I just flew into Los Angeles from the east on American Airlines and captured these pictures of 3 UFOs about 190 miles out of Los Angeles. I call them Papa, Mama, and Baby. They emitted the brightest light I'd ever seen other than the sun on a bright sunny day. It was intense white light, but you could look at it. There were 2 large orbs and a tiny size orb. Pretty cool. Alright, there you go, right there. Right there. Good shot indeed. Army fighter pilot recounts UFO experience over the former Yugoslavia. Yugoslavian Army jet fighter pilot Swada Hamzika has been sharing his memoirs of a website dedicated to reporting on the Serbian Air Force. In his latest installment, he writes about his belief in UFOs and he shares the personal encounters that have convinced him. Hamzika's memoirs can be found on the website Tango 6. The latest entry begins with his observation of how unpopular the UFO topic can be and how reluctant people can be to write about it. He says that the approach by authorities to be generally restrained, incomplete, vague, and mysterious only tends to further complicate any rational debate on UFOs. However, he says authorities in the Army, and in particular the Air Force, cannot ignore that something exists because many of the most advanced fighter jets have not been able to cope with the unidentified objects. He says these encounters happen repeatedly over the southern Adriatic Sea. He also said there have been many accounts by highly credible people, along with his own personal experiences. These are the reasons Hamika says he is convinced that there are no optical phenomena, fiction, hallucinations, and the like. Hamza's first sighting was in the spring of 1972 in the early afternoon. He was flying a MiG-21 on a routine reconnaissance flight in the region on Delcina. The jet was a 2-seater, and in the back the captain, first class Stopik Dulsan. On the takeoff, they were asked to check something out. When they flew to the coordinates, they saw a bright, luminous object. Hamzika could not determine the altitude of the object, but he knows it was much higher than he was because it was a routine reconnaissance flight and they were not equipped with the proper equipment to fly at high altitude or at a greater speed than Mach 1.6. Hamzika began to climb to get a closer look at the object. It got bigger and bigger, and as he got closer, he climbed at Mach 1.4 and reached 13,000 meters, but he could still not be sure how much higher the UFO was. He said it could have been 17,000 or even 24,000 meters. It was impossible to say for sure. Just then the object zipped out to the west, decreasing in size and luminosity, and then it was gone. Hamzika said what impressed him was that the craft must have been moving between 4,000 to 6,000 kilometers per hour, the equivalent of around 2,500 to 4,000 miles per hour. Hamzika said he and Stopik talked about the sighting for a little while, but they didn't discuss it with anyone else, not even their colleagues. They made no official report, and they figured the event was just part of their job. A couple months later, on a beautiful summer day, Hamzika, in his second sighting, he was enjoying the day, lying on the park bench and looking up in the sky. He was in a square filled with pilots, technicians, and other members of the 352 Reconnaissance Squadron. Hamzika then noticed a round, silvery object above one of the runways. He thought it was early for weather balloons to be launched, but he still assumed that this was what it was. Then he realized it was not floating upwards like it should be. Suddenly he realized it was a UFO. In his excitement, he said it out loud. Everyone looked up and some people made jokes about aliens. He said most people didn't pay attention, but a few continued to watch the object. It remained hovering in place. Then, similar to what he had witnessed a few months ago, the object began moving out of the west and zipped off out of sight. The few watching the object looked at each other puzzled, but there was very little said. Soon after, exactly on time, a weather balloon was released and it rose into the sky as routinely as usual. His third encounter was in late 73 or early 74. He could not remember the exact date. It was a night training flight. After the training, said he had enough fuel to get back to check something out. He said he did, and when he got the coordinates, he saw a glowing light. He thought at first it might be a commercial plane, but he noted that he could not see inside, so perhaps the windows were closed. After getting a closer look, he determined it was not a commercial plane. He says the light changed between light green, yellow, and slightly purple. He then lost sight of it in the clouds. He said no one wanted to talk about what they had seen. Hamzika said he has since left the army. He's had other sightings. He said he even recorded strange light on 2 occasions, once in 2008 and once in 2011. He says in both cases there were lights that suddenly turned on and were very bright and then suddenly disappeared. Each time he watched the news reports to find out if other people had seen the lights, but the sightings were never mentioned. He says it was as if they never happened. Hamzika's memoirs are of the particular interest because he has a unique background. After attending the Yugoslavian Air Force Academy, he also attended the Royal Air Force Staff College in Great Britain. In 1980, he was sent to the United States where he worked evaluating the F-5 fighter jet. From 86 to 90, he served as a military attaché of the armed forces of the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia in Turkey. He then retired as a colonel in 1993. Okay, so that's a pretty good story there from a pilot who has seen and experienced firsthand. Now, for those of you who have been following the UFO and the stories of ufologists for a while, you may have heard of Bud Hopkins. He's been around for some time, and then he passed several years back. Back in around the spring of 74, when I was a sophomore in high school, my dad and I were driving home looking at a motorcycle one of his co-workers had for sale. Just after dusk along Route 1A in the Plainsville area, I yelled out for my dad to pull over. To our right, about 200 yards over the sand and gravel pit, there was a large object with glowing orange lights hovering. A similar but smaller craft lowered from the middle of the object, and they both took off at a speed that was hard to believe. However, they made very little noise in doing so. I spent my lifetime as a photojournalist. I've seen a lot in my years. I'm convinced if I had a camera with me that night, I would have had the most compelling evidence ever of a UFO. The next morning, I called the local police. They had no reports, and to this day, I know what I saw. The interest in Cape UFO stories wouldn't be complete without mentioning Wellfleet artist and UFO researcher Bud Hopkins. In 1964, he was driving to a cocktail party in Trudeau. He and his 2 passengers noticed a dark elliptical lens-shaped object hovering in the sky. They watched it for several minutes and they saw it take off a plane over Pilgrim Lake. In 1981, he published a book entitled Missing Time, a documented study of UFO abductions. During his lifetime, Hopkins contended that many people have been abducted and have undergone examinations on board spaceships. To research this theory, Hopkins interviewed hundreds of people who believe they have been abducted by aliens. In a 1985 article, he called himself a UFO detective and hoped to pursue mankind's biggest story. He maintained that I am now very subconsciously, deliberately dealing with the idea that there is a mystery around us. I like to point out that the existence of certain unknown territories and the world is not as comfortably closed as one might think. Bud Hopkins died on Sunday, August 21, 2011. He was remembered as a prolific artist as well as a UFO researcher. He was instrumental in espousing hypnosis technique to help patients elicit suppressed abduction memories. His memoir, Art, Life, and UFOs, was published in 2009. Okay, just a little tribute to Bud Hopkins there. And last, this is from Doc Vega, UFOs, A Historical Perspective, over at the UFO Digest. For us to draw a logical parallel between the sudden appearance of the mysterious UFO to the eyes of mankind on a literal global scale, we must first appreciate the technological development of the human race in conjunction with the sudden appearance of the unknown. The question we must ask is that, were we visited due to our development of instrumentally potentially destructive weaponry as well as our advancement into high-speed platforms? missiles, jet rocket, aircraft, rocketry. One thing for sure, in evaluating the factors that could have aroused the interest of another civilization, there is little doubt that our activity may have well caused such interest. Although there is considerable yet scant evidence that mankind has been visited throughout our history, we have definitive events that occurred by the post-World War II era that were astonishing enough that the attention of the public was riveted by such incidents. These incidents were so amazing that neither the efforts of the government, military, nor mass media could suppress the public's awareness or fascination with phenomena that exceeded the capabilities of our present technological advancement. In this article, we will see that man's progression into the technical realms having to do with war and weapons delivery seem to have arrived simultaneously with ubiquitous emergence of flying saucers. It begins in 1947. 1947 may very well have been the most pivotal year of the 20th century in an already volatile stretch of decades. In that year, several earth-shaking UFO events transformed public awareness forever, from the sighting of 9 unknown silverish objects in the vicinity of Mount Rainier in Washington state by pilot Kenneth Arnold to the alleged recovery of an alien disc by the 509th Bomber Group at Roswell, New Mexico. 1947 proved to be an inflection in human events. General Nathan F. Twining, in a shocking intelligence estimate to the Joint Chiefs of Staff at the Pentagon, established UFOs as a very real manifestation of superior technology not originating from planet Earth. In that year, test pilot Chuck Yeager broke the speed of sound in his Bell X-1 rocket plane. Project Sign was enacted by the U.S. Air Force in the reaction to the UFO flap that manifested itself in 1947. Intelligence officers began to interview people who reported their incredible observations. The first generation of U.S. pilots, such as the P-80, were already being flight tested and would unknowingly enter the theater of Korean War in a few short years. 1948 saw the progression of a number of disturbing events with connection to the UFO. Captain Thomas Myrtle loses his life in pursuit of a huge metal UFO as he climbed beyond 20,000 feet in an unpressurized P-51 Mustang to get a better look in close vicinity to Goodman Airfield in Kansas. The same year, the Maury Island mystery came upon the scene. 2 local fishermen and a boy witnessed several objects orbiting around a central machine that seemed in distress, suddenly exploding and vanishing, but not before a molten slag had been dropped to their boat, killing the child's dog and burning him, requiring medical assistance. The 2 investigating Air Force officers were later killed after accepting the molten slag for further study and boarding a B-52 bomber headed for McCord AFB. Rumors of a conspiracy to hide the interplanetary proof of the incident abounded. It is interesting to note that in the year of 1948, the first plans for a telecommunications satellite were pioneered by Arthur C. Clarke, a scientist who would later author such popular science fiction novels as Childhood Ends and 2001: A Space Odyssey and many more. Yet it would take another 10 years for the U.S. to launch the Vanguard satellite after being beaten to the punch by the Soviet launch of the Sputnik satellite in 1957. In 1948, as part of the U.S. Army Project Hermes, several WAC Corporal rockets were mounted atop captured German V-2 missiles and launched as a 2-stage payload. At a speed of 2,740 miles per hour, this configuration reached a height of 80 miles. The research program lasted 4 years until 1952. In 1949, Navy Missile Commander R.B. McLaughlin admitted in a magazine article that the high-speed altitude identified objects under intelligent control were tracked entering Earth's atmosphere over White Sands proving grounds. In the same year, Project Grudge would emerge as the new U.S. Air Force effort to suppress eyewitness reports of UFOs. The Air Force's new aggressive response to UFO investigation angered many ex-World War II pilots who were now flying commercial civilian airliners, cargo planes, and single-engine aircraft. The new policy only served to embolden UFO witnesses to rebel against the efforts of the military to convince them otherwise. According to Captain Ed Ruppelt in his book, The Report on UFOs, published in 1956, Commander McLaughlin was regulated to an Arctic destroyer patrol after making his public admission of UFOs sighted over White Sands. In 1950, Project Twinkle was funded by the U.S. Air Force to photograph frequent UFO sightings in northern New Mexican desert near Holloman Air Force Base. Once green fireballs were determined by Dr. Lincoln LaPaz not to be the product of meteor activity but something else, money was appropriated by the U.S. Air Force for the use of granting lens cameras to analyze the strange aerial objects that glowed in the night skies over New Mexico. Supposedly, results were deemed inconclusive. The year of 1950 was greeted by bloody outbreak of a war in Korea as an unprepared U.S. military was taken by surprise. In the pivotal year, a newly organized effort by the U.S. Air Force is undertaken, and Captain Ed Ruppelt is named director of Project Blue Book. The golden years of an intense investigation are marked by Ruppelt's effort to solve the UFO mystery. In 1952, the Project Blue Book staff was nervous in anticipation of a powder keg of UFO activity waiting to explode, and it did just that as sightings were reported all across the U.S. As UFOs violated White House airspace for several nights in a row, scientists warned the Pentagon against the sanction of a shoot-down order, fearing the start of a war with another world. The raging Korea War was overshadowed by newspaper headlines that read, "Interceptors chase flying saucers over nation's capital." To stem the tide of public hysteria, the largest post-war military press conference since World War II was held at Roger Smith Hotel in Washington, D.C. in an attempt to dismiss UFOs as no threat to national security and to possibly being temperature inversion targets on radar screens. With U.S. Air Force spokesman Albert Chopp, who witnessed a tense confrontation between an F-94C interceptor pilot, Captain William Patterson's craft, being surrounded by UFOs while he looked on from the radar near Washington National Airport, USAF explanations to the public were deemed intentionally deceptive. When Senior Traffic Controller Harry Barnes testified that unidentified targets tracked the USAF radar screens, reacted to pilot and command communications whenever fighter jets entered close proximity. Barnes was convinced UFOs understood radio transmissions and could anticipate USAF intentions. Seasoned radar technicians reported all radar sets as operating correctly, in opposition to high command questioning the accuracy of the air control efforts to identify the unknown radar blips appearing over the White House airport airspace. Perhaps the largest joint naval exercise in history, Operation Mainbrace, took place in the North Atlantic, as envisioned by General Eisenhower, who was present in a flagship there. The massive exercise was plagued by a number of reports of UFOs and even USOs, underwater submerged objects, that created confusion and attempts to identify these enigmas by Gloucester meteor pilots of the UK, as well as destroyer crews who detected unusual activity below the water. It is said that Ike remained on the bridge in his pajamas in the early morning hours, awaiting reports of the strange sightings. Well, there's a nice little history of what's gone on, and very good. That's it. I'll be back with more news and information. Stay tuned. Let me find something here for you. How about what we got here? Let me find a song. Let's do this one. Haven't done this one. Confirm or deny.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum. Oh, shit.
Underground is where they live. In the bases that are secretive. We're not supposed to know where they come from or where they go. And if you ask our leaders today, this is what they will say. I can neither confirm or deny. I can neither confirm or deny. I can neither confirm or deny. What's up with their lives. Plausible deniability. That's their answer to all we think we see. So pay attention. Read between the lines. Changes are happening, revealing lies. And if you ask our leaders today, this is what they will say. I can neither confirm or deny. I can neither confirm or deny. I can neither confirm or deny. What's up with their lies? Underground is where they live. In the bases that are secretive. We're not supposed to know where they come from or where they go. And if you ask our leaders today, this is what they will say. I can neither confirm or deny. I can neither confirm or deny. I can neither confirm or deny. What's up with their lies? I can neither confirm or deny. They can neither confirm or deny. It's time for them, confirm or deny. No more secret lies. I don't know about you, but I can't stand it anymore. I know what I saw. You know what you saw. Stand up for yourself. Think for yourself. The truth is out there. No more lies. No more lies. No more lies.
All right. Continuing on. 9/11. AE 9/11 Truth to Address Major Truth Conference. So at the beginning of the week, you heard an interview that I did with Dan Johnson of Panda, and he mentioned this United We Stand. Well, here it is. We have been encouraged to speak at the United We Stand Truth and Music Festival by host Free and Equal at UCLA's Pauley Pavilion in Los Angeles on May 10th. UWS Festival will showcase music as well as panels of musicians, actors, writers, journalists, and other speakers. Fundraising for this major event began at Indiegogo and ran through February 15th. We encouraged everyone through our social media platforms to support the event at Indiegogo, and you can also reserve your tickets. It will sell out. We have the opportunity here to bring 9/11 truth from the World Trade Center to more than 1,000 folks who are newcomers to the explosive evidence. We will be addressing audience members who arrive not only to see their favorite rock bands like Immortal Technique and Wu-Tang Clan, but those who have come to hear other experts in the fields of Patriot Act, NDAA, NSA, war on drugs, drones, foreign policies, GMO, internet freedom, election reform, and more. Speakers include RT's Abby Martin, Ben Swan, congressional candidate Marianne Williamson, Christina Torrin, Ellen Brown, Kimberly and Foster Gamble, Luke Radowski, Sheriff Richard Max, and a dozen other inspired speakers. This is the largest assembly of newcomers to the 9/11 Truth issue that the 9/11 Truth will have had the chance to speak to. The events will be recorded and broadcast globally. Says FEE founder Kristen Tobin, the United We Stand Festival will ignite the positive, peaceful, social change movement the world is waiting for. By restoring power back to the individual voter here in America, we can fix most of the problems caused by the system, domestic and foreign. A movement of the youth will rise and run for office to take back your futures. The festival will start at UCLA and may very well continue on a 10-day City University tour. The momentum of the tour will help unite and empower voters to build a base of supporters for young people running for local office in 2014. All right, so got a good thing going on here. May 10th, Los Angeles. Check it out. check it out. Check it out. All the info is available. FirstContactRadio.com. All right. In line with the 9/11 story, I want to go ahead and play this piece for you because it's been a little while, and well, it's time. Yesterday I ran that one story, so we're going to continue on a little bit. Can't let the 9/11 people get off, with their crimes, because that administration was very responsible for what happened. So this is a 10-minute piece. I'm going to play the whole thing. This is Blueprint for Truth. Here we go.
So much. My name is Richard Gage, AIA. I've been a practicing architect for 20 years, and I'm a member of the American Institute of Architects. Let's take a look at World Trade Center 7 now. It was 47 stories tall, what would have been the tallest building in 33 of our states. It was not hit by an airplane. Let's take a look at the evidence of World Trade Center 7 and see how it stacks up against the typical features of a controlled demolition, starting with, is there a sudden onset of destruction? Let's listen to this emergency word.
We were watching the building actually because it was on fire. The bottom floors of the building were on fire, and we heard this sound that sounded like a clap of thunder. Turned around, we were shocked to see that the building was it looked like there was a shock wave ripping through the building, and the windows all busted out, and it was horrifying. And then about a second later, the bottom floor caves out, and the building followed after that, and we saw the building crash down all the way to the ground.
Do we have a straight down symmetrical collapse into the building's footprint? Let's listen to Dan Rather narrate this collapse for us as we take our first look at the collapse of Building 7.
Now we go to videotape the collapse of this building.
It's amazing.
Amazing, incredible, pick your word. For the third time today, it's reminiscent of those pictures we've all seen too much on television before, when a building was deliberately destroyed by well-placed dynamite to knock it down.
Let's take a look in this side-by-side comparison with a known controlled demolition on the right. Did the building fall into its own footprint? Pretty much so. Do we have demolition waves? And how do these remove the column support? Well, here's a floor plan of Building 7. Now, to bring a building smoothly, symmetrically into its own footprint without falling over, what we have to do is remove the core columns, because what we want to do is bring the outside of the building in on itself. Now, this involves a high degree of precision that fire is not capable of. Do we have a free fall speed of collapse through the path of greatest resistance? You can see second by second the building gaining downward momentum. You can plot the drop distance on a graph of time, and it fits the free fall curve almost perfectly. What does this mean? That the columns had to have been removed, and removed virtually simultaneously on each floor, synchronistically timed, so the building had no resistance virtually on the way down. Do we have a total dismemberment of the steel structure? We had a 47-story skyscraper compressed to 4 stories. Do we have sounds of explosions, though? How about Kevin McPadden?
This was a boom, and like you felt a rumble in the ground, like almost like you wanted to grab onto something. That, to me, I knew that was an explosion. There was no doubt in my mind.
Do we have enormous clouds of pyroclastic smoke from the pulverized concrete? Watch the concrete entrained in the air racing down every street in each direction at 35 miles an hour. Do we have pools of molten iron? Here is Building 7 at A and B, and here is the North Tower and the South Tower. These hot spots are 1,340 to 1,370 degrees. These are the temperatures of the hottest office fires. There was no fire on the surface of Ground Zero after the collapses. What are we measuring here? We're measuring the molten metal that was seen by these first responders. Let's listen to John Gross, lead engineer of NIST, tell us about the molten metal from his perspective.
First of all, let's go back to your basic premise that there was a pool of molten steel. I know of absolutely nobody, no eyewitness who said so, nobody who's produced it.
You'd get down below and you'd see molten steel running down the channel rails. Like you're in a foundry. Like lava.
From a volcano.
No eyewitness who said so.
There actually melted beams where it was molten steel that was being dug out.
No eyewitness who said so.
Underground, it was still so hot that molten metal dripped down the sides of a wall.
Nobody who's produced it.
What is the problem here? Somebody's lying. I'm going to leave it up to you to make your own conclusions. How about chemical evidence, though? What produced all this molten metal? And what is thermite anyway?
Thermite. An incendiary used by the military, thermite is a compound of iron oxide and aluminum, which when ignited sustains an extreme heat reaction, creating molten iron. In just 2 seconds, thermite can reach temperatures over 4,500 degrees Fahrenheit, quite enough to liquefy steel.
Dr. Stephen Jones performed chemical analysis on the previously molten metal. Dr. Jones received no less than 4 separate samples of World Trade Center dust, some of it from Jeanette McKinley's apartment across the street, where the windows blew in and filled her apartment with dust. Another sample was found like 10 minutes later on the Brooklyn Bridge. Well, he takes this and he puts a magnet over it, and he finds that there are small particles that come up to the magnet. Some of them are angular, some of them are round. They look like this. If you had thousands of cutter charges going off in the columns and beams throughout the building, and they were under this incredible pressure, what you'd see is something like this. Tens of thousands or millions of tiny droplets. What's the shape of those droplets? When a liquid is dispersed like this, its surface tension forms itself into almost a perfect sphere. Would there possibly be any unignited thermite pieces in the World Trade Center dust? Indeed, he finds it. It also comes up to the magnet from his dust samples. Many chips. This one, a 1/16 of an inch long, red on one side, gray on the other. The red side is composed of tiny iron oxide particles and aluminum. The Lawrence Livermore lab came out with papers about this stuff. The particles being so small allow for almost instantaneous ignition between the two chemicals, the aluminum and the iron oxide, producing very explosive results. He continues his study and finds additional chips that are partially ignited, with spheres embedded in them. With Dr. Jones and his small team of scientists, through EDS, XRF, and WDS, identifies the components of these spheres and chips, predominantly iron, along with aluminum, oxygen, silicon, 1,3-diphenylpropane. The results, coupled with the visual evidence, he says, at the scene, such as the flowing hot liquid metal, providing compelling evidence that thermite reaction compounds were deliberately placed in both World Trade Center towers and Building 7. These results are documented in a peer-reviewed journal. Let's listen to what FEMA did conclude, because it is interesting. Evidence of a severe high-temperature corrosion attack on the steel, including rapid oxidation, sulfidation, and subsequent intergranular melting. Very interesting. Remember, office fires don't melt steel. What melted this steel? Capable of turning a solid steel girder into Swiss cheese, like this former wide flange column from the structural steel in Building 7. Now, they document this very carefully in their Appendix C. I believe we've shown that Building 7 matches all of the features of controlled demolition in the classic sense. Thank you so very much.
All right. Nice, good reminder of what went on and the research that's being done. So May 10th, you get a chance if you're in Los Angeles to hear Richard Gage speak. He's been on the show before, and perhaps we'll get him on again. All right, here we go. Switching gears. The Holy Grail of Sacred Relationships. Michelle Walling. Every relationship we have is sacred as it provides a mirror by which we get to know ourselves better. As we grow spiritually, these relationships can change with the changes in ourselves. The ultimate goal in sacred relationship is to love yourself enough to feel complete and to share your completeness with another. When this is accomplished, the secret fire is created by one can move closer to the place called home through the Holy Grail relationship. We all set up contracts with our soulmates before incarnating to give each other experience. We choose our parents, our siblings, and our best friends. At one point in our awakening, we realize what a gift this was as we look back at the lessons we learned from those loving souls. Even if the experience did not seem the way at the time it was experienced, being in relationship with these people taught us how to be in relationship with others, and we have all had our share of comings and goings with various people and relationships throughout our lives. The purpose of all relationship is to be able to awaken to what needs to be worked on within oneself in order to grow spiritually. If something is mirrored to you the first time and you do not see it, then a pattern will emerge and another person will bring you the same experience and down the line until you finally see that what is needed to work on. This could be self-love, judgment, righteousness, or something else that is in alignment with claiming the path to enlightenment. As we find ourselves in a time of spiritual advancement, we can look back to see just how much we have worked on ourselves. We're now in the home stretch and something wonderful has happened that will give us the tools needed to make the final adjustments towards raising our vibrations into the next dimension. The gift, the sacred fire, can be shared between two people who vibrate the same level and join in lovemaking from the wholeness of the heart. Being in love at this stage of the game of life is a wonderful gift and the highest form of sacred relationship between two people whereby their final lessons can be learned from a higher state of consciousness. The sacred fire can burn away all lower vibrations and keep one in a state of joy and bliss. It is a gift beyond measure, as love is eternal and is what we are truly made of. The answer to the question, how do I attract a soulmate of the same vibration, is tricky, because you simply attract like. You will attract to you someone who is on your level of vibration without having to do anything at all due to the universal law of attraction. As we grow spiritually, we tend to have loved ones fall out of vibration with ourselves, and new people come into our lives like a revolving door. For all intents and purposes, the real question is how to prepare yourself to attract the highest vibrational partner to have a sacred relationship with. One of the hardest things to accomplish is to love yourself, or self-love and self-forgiveness. Many people were taught throughout their lives to seek love and material things from the outside world in order to fill the hole they felt in their hearts. That hole has always been a separation from our Creator and can be filled with love for yourself once you realize that you are part of the Creator. This is really the one thing that could change the world, everyone realizing who you really are. Beliefs and judgments have been entrained within us since birth that make us feel less than worthy. It has been hard to accept every part of our body as perfect, since unrealistic thoughts of what we should look like have ruled our lives through Hollywood. For some people, the whole lives have been in downward spiral of not feeling like they were ever good enough. Once we realize that most everything shown to us has had the sole purpose of making us feel like we weren't good enough, we can overcome this life and open our hearts to the loving ourselves just the way we are. Loving yourself takes practice. Take a look at yourself in the mirror and repeatedly tell yourself how much you love yourself. Many people do not take the time or the effort to do this, and their relationship reflects it when they fall into fear of self-worth or losing their relationship. At the same time, the person they are in relationship is probably having the same issues, so it would be perfect if both people worked on the same thing at the same time. Thus, one would not outgrow the other and have to attract a different partner. Being aware of this and sharing with our partner makes it easy to stay in a relationship as you continue to grow and learn about yourself and your mirror. The ultimate state of being you can mirror to your partner is that you yourself. Being yourself does not mean thinking I am going to act this way or that no matter what the consequences because I have been this way all my life and no one should change me. It is having wisdom, compassion, and grace to look at the things in your life that no longer serve you. It is making sure that you are committed to yourself first and then project that wholeness to your partner by being the example. Beliefs and habits will fall away as your partner recognizes your perfection and chooses to resonate with you. Sometimes we outgrow our relationship. If one person is doing the inner work of love and forgiveness and the other person is not consciously doing their work, the universe will tend to pull two people apart, and it will seem as though conflict is in the forefront, as the one who did not do the work is getting their fears mirrored back to them. There comes a time that our inner selves will tell us that it is time to move on, and that can be very painful. The fear within us may want to try to change the other person as a last-ditch effort to try to help them. Sometimes this work depends on the overall plan the two of you have had together, but unless both people are consciously aware of their own thoughts and behaviors and make the changes necessary, it usually turns into unhappiness for one or both of the relationship. The best thing you can do for yourself is to move on when it is obvious that you no longer resonate with the other person. Everyone is on a path of self-realization and self-empowerment, and no two people will get there at the same time. As we perfect the love of ourselves, we begin to be the highest vibration of love. The beauty of attracting someone who is vibrating at the love resonance is that the union of the two into a loving sexual relationship can open the door to creating energy together that is capable of catapulting the consciousness of the two into another realm or dimension. The following is an excerpt from the book Prism of Lyra, The Exploration of Human Galactic Heritage. It was also decided that during the evolutionary development of humanoid forms within the Earth's galactic family, that the male and the female polarities would manifest in separate but complementary body types. This serves as a reminder that in order to create, polarities must also be joined and integrated. The notion is widely held that an individual has a tendency to feel most at one when he or she is joined with another in love. The ultimate joining of a man and woman in true, complete love allows for creation to occur. This defines the spark of the creator we all have within ourselves and allows us to reasonably create together, whether it be creating a happy life together, working together in service to mankind, or creating a child together. It is really about remembering that we have this ability. This kind of creation cannot be described with words. It is a sacred and divine, and it takes oneself home where there are no fears, worries, or third-dimensional problems. It all begins with the work one needs to do within, which opens the heart up for someone to attract to you the same love that you have for yourself. The key to attracting this perfect sacred partner is to be that perfection yourself. Recognizing who you really are gives you the freedom over everyday illusions that were invented to keep you in enslavement. True freedom lies within your own heart, and opening up to allow someone else to join you creates the space from which you remember how to move forward in your spiritual advancement toward home. As the veils continue to be lifted, we will remember how to actually use the energy created between the two sacred lovers to propel both people into new realities in exploration and new levels of creation. It's a very good article. I know everybody out in the world is seeking a relationship and in relationship of some sort. So it's always good to explore because we are in the lesson of the mirror, and that's what relationships are, reflections back at us. All right, here's our message for today. This is from the High Council of Orion. There we go.
Awareness of Energetic Essence, Channeled Ascension Message from the High Council of Orion.
March 6, 2014, channeled by Holly Hawkins Marwood, transcribed by Paul Marwood.
The Council.
Greetings, dear ones. We are the High Council of Orion. Once again, it gives us great joy to connect with each and every one of you, to share the messages from where we are to assist you and guide you on your pathway to a new reality, a new time, a new experience of your incarnation. Today's message is about connecting to your energetic essence. More simply put, it really is about connecting to your essence. As many of you know, and as your scientists have been proving in many ways, the essence of all that is that same energetic signature. You can reduce down everything within your experience of the world to the same energy. Your experience of your world is about vibrational differences that gives you the contrast to experience yourself as a physical being, the trees, the plants, the other humans, the planet itself, the weather systems, whatever it might be. It's all vibrational resonance showing up in different ways to give you a variety of experiences, but underneath all of it, or deeper than all of it, wider than all of it, is this same energy of essence. We invite you today to begin to open your mind to the idea and live into the reality that the energy is the same throughout all of creation. All of it. There is no difference. As you have your quiet times, as you meditate, as you move into greater places of connection and looking for that source energy within you, we ask you to, at this moment in time, feel and open yourself to the idea and the experience that the energy is all the same at its core. As you entertain this idea in your meditations, as you entertain this idea in your explorations, in your questioning of your life and the universe, it opens up your field to be able to begin to experience that essence energy. As you do, the vibratory rate at which you are experiencing your life begins to shift. What does this mean? The denser vibrations begin to be more impacted by your conscious awareness of your essence energy. We have more to teach and share about this later on, but for now we want you to understand and begin to consciously connect with your essence energy. There doesn't need to be a way to do it. There doesn't need to be a teaching around this. Just the idea that you open your mind and your energetic field to begin to live into an awareness first, and then, over time, an increased connection with the reality that essence energy is the same regardless of where you are and regardless of what's happening. With that you can begin to live into the future energetic truth of living into oneness, living into working with energies through a flow, through the oneness where you've transcended a lot of thought, a lot of action, you transcended the need to effort through things. For instead of seeing the density as an energetic reality, you have connected with the essence energy that is everything, which is free-flowing. You begin to live outside of the constructs of the denser reality in which you live, in which you exist, and in which your soul chose you to have there and be there. At the same time you can begin to learn to transcend and work with this essence energy as you acknowledge it, as you feel it, as you experience it, as you begin to see the veil of the different levels of density begin to fall away. We will leave you with this idea for now to explore the concept of your awareness around essence energy that is everything. It is that different vibrational rate within the essence energy that allows you to experience your world the way you do on this plane. However, as you begin to connect with it in more of its purer form, in the form that it naturally moves with freedom, you can begin to experience that within your life and in your reality. Be blessed. We are the High Council of Orion.
Alright, very good message. So, let's get to our meditation for today. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and exhale. Take another deep breath, and exhale again. Alright, I'm going to do these affirmations again, so just contemplate these affirmations. I'm going to say them 3 times. I'm feeling healthy and strong today. I have all that I need to make this a great day of my life. I have all the information I need to solve any challenges that come up today. I have the knowledge to make smart decisions for myself today. I make the right choices all day using my inner wisdom. I am happy and content with my life. I am patient and calm and greet the day with ease. I am filled with gratitude for another day on this earth. And again, I am feeling healthy and strong today. I have all that I need to make this a great day of my life. I have all the information I need to solve any challenges that come up today. I have the knowledge to make smart decisions for myself today. I make the right choices all day using my inner wisdom. I am happy and content with my life. I am patient and calm and greet the day with ease. I am filled with gratitude for another day on this earth. And one more time. I am feeling healthy and strong today. I have all that I need to make this a great day of my life. I have all the information I need to solve any challenge that comes up today. I have the knowledge to make smart decisions for myself today. I make the right choices all day using my inner wisdom. I am happy and content with my life. I am patient and calm and greet the day with ease. I am filled with gratitude for another day on this earth. And just allow those words to reverberate through your subconscious mind until they come through and express themselves consciously. As you go through the world today, just imagine sending love out into the world. Imagine all your chakras activated from the bottom of the spine: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. And finally on to bright white as it connects. And just send out love. Imagine the word love written across the planet. And as you go through this weekend, just imagine sending love. Throwing seeds of love out into the world and watch them grow. So let your subconscious mind continue on that journey of spreading love throughout the world. And let's bring our conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale and open your eyes. That's it, my friends. Thank you very much. It's been a good week. Lots of great information. Thanks for your emails. Thanks for sharing the show. Have a great weekend. There's some good shows and information. We didn't get to all of it, so go watch the videos for this week. And I'll be back next week. Till then, keep loving each other. Have a good time, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.